Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. The Miami Dolphins find themselves at a critical crossroads, and it's a moment that demands honesty, boldness, and perhaps a little bit of tough love. When Tua Tagovailoa was drafted out of Alabama, the excitement was palpable. Here was a young quarterback with the poise of a veteran, the accuracy of a sniper, and the football IQ that made many believe he could eventually become the franchise cornerstone. I was a fan of Tua from the very beginning, and I still believe in his potential. But potential, as we all know, only goes so far if it doesn't translate into consistent, game-changing production at the NFL level. And that's precisely the dilemma the Dolphins face today. Tua has undeniable strengths. He's smart, he processes defenses quickly, and he can deliver throws that many quarterbacks struggle to make. Yet, the questions surrounding his size, durability, and ability to elevate his play in high-pressure moments remain. The reality is that Miami is at a point where they need to ask themselves the hard questions. Are we truly building a championship team around Tua, or have we simply reached the ceiling of what he can offer? The timing is crucial because next year's quarterback class is shaping up to be deeper and more talented than the one the Dolphins faced in last year's draft. This could be an opportunity they might regret passing up if they choose complacency over foresight. Let's not forget, Miami did invest heavily in Tua just over a year ago, signing him to a contract extension that was meant to secure the team's future at the most important position in football. That contract effectively ties them to Tua for at least another season, and the optics of moving on from a recently extended quarterback are messy. However, the Dolphins had the chance to restructure or adjust his deal this past offseason and chose not to, which leaves them in a position where tough decisions will loom over the next few months. In hindsight, part of me wonders if giving Tua that big contract a few years ago was premature, especially considering the option to let him play out his fifth-year option and evaluate his long-term viability in the league. Hindsight is 20/20, but it does bring perspective to the current conversation. Looking back at 2023, Tua's durability was a positive. He played every single game, a feat that, given his injury history, cannot be ignored. Yet, durability alone does not a franchise quarterback make. The bigger issue lies in his performance during critical moments. The Dolphins had a promising 9-3 record in December and were in position to secure the AFC East, but when injuries hit and the pressure mounted, Miami faltered. The reality is that when a team struggles down the stretch, the quarterback, fair or not, is the focal point. Tua was on the field, healthy and available, and yet he failed to consistently elevate his team when it mattered most. This isn't about blaming one man for every loss, but football is a quarterback-driven league, and when the quarterback doesn't come through in key moments, it exposes a ceiling. Take last Sunday's loss to the New England Patriots as the most recent example. The Dolphins found themselves trailing late in the fourth quarter with the ball in Tua's hands, in a scenario that demands a quarterback to rise to the occasion. And once again, Tua fell short. Teams at the highest level need their quarterbacks to be reliable in those clutch moments, to orchestrate game-winning drives under pressure, and to instill confidence that the team can close out tight games. When Tua has the ball in his hands late in the game, I can't say I have that confidence. Yes, he has flashes. Games like the 2022 matchup against the Baltimore Ravens, or the 2023 wins against the Chargers and Cowboys, but those bright spots are overshadowed by repeated instances where he has come up short. Losses against the Kansas City Chiefs, Tennessee Titans, and Buffalo Bills in 2023 all highlight the same issue. In crunch time, Tua hasn't consistently delivered. The accumulation of these missed opportunities paints a broader picture. Miami has likely reached the ceiling with what Tua can offer, at least in his current form. This is why the conversation about next year's quarterback class becomes so critical. The Dolphins have an opportunity to examine the prospects coming out in the 2025 NFL Draft, a class that looks deeper and more dynamic than the one they faced previously. Names like Penn State's Drew Aller, who brings size, arm strength, and potential for mobility, immediately jump out. There are also quarterbacks like Garrett Nussmeier and Lenora Sellers who have the potential to be first-round talents. This isn't just about drafting a replacement. It's about creating competition, pushing Tua to improve, and ensuring that Miami isn't stuck with mediocrity at the most important position in football. History offers lessons for the Dolphins if they're willing to learn from it. In 2018, Miami held the 11th pick in the draft, a spot that could have allowed them to move up a few positions to secure Josh Allen, among other options. They passed. Over the years, opportunities to add franchise quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, and Matt Ryan came and went, and Miami chose to stand pat, believing their current quarterbacks were sufficient. This recurring pattern raises questions about the organization's willingness to be aggressive at the quarterback position, and now, once again, the decision looms large. The difference this time is that next year's class is stacked, and the Dolphins have the resources and draft positioning to make a move if they choose to be bold. The strategic approach could mirror what the San Diego Chargers once did with Drew Brees and Phillip Rivers. Bring in competition to push the incumbent quarterback, creating an environment where only excellence is rewarded. Miami needs a quarterback who can extend plays, make throws from different platforms, and handle pressure in ways Tua currently struggles with. The reality is that a quarterback with more mobility, a stronger arm, and the ability to take over games in crunch time could transform this team. Aller, in particular, presents an intriguing option because he combines size and arm talent with a level of mental processing that could make him NFL-ready faster than many prospects. This isn't about replacing Tua out of spite. It's about future-proofing the franchise and making sure the Dolphins don't settle for less than they can achieve. If Miami wants to break free from the trap of being competitive but never elite, they must have the courage to make bold moves. This is about more than just one player. It's about setting a standard, signaling to fans and the league that they are willing to make the hard decisions necessary to build a championship-caliber team. The fear of hurting Tua's feelings should not override the organizational imperative to compete at the highest level. In football, the quarterback position dictates success, and Miami's long-term viability hinges on whether they are willing to make tough, forward-looking decisions. The 2025 draft presents a chance to do exactly that, and the Dolphins would be wise not to squander it. The conversation about Tua Tagovailoa isn't a simple yes or no proposition. It's nuanced, complex, and fraught with competing factors. But the evidence is hard to ignore. He has shown moments of brilliance, yet he has also faltered in critical situations, leaving a gap between potential and production that the Dolphins can no longer ignore. The upcoming draft class offers a potential solution, whether through competition or eventual succession, that could elevate the team to new heights. Miami fans deserve transparency, ambition, and decisiveness from the organization, and that starts with addressing the quarterback situation honestly. In the end, the question the Dolphins must answer is whether they are content with incremental improvements and fleeting success, or whether they are ready to take calculated risks to build something lasting. Next year's quarterback class is not just an opportunity. It is a test of the organization's vision, foresight, and willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. The time for hesitancy has passed. Miami must look at these young quarterbacks with open eyes and an honest assessment of Tua's ceiling. Only then can they position themselves for sustained success rather than being trapped in a cycle of almost, but not quite. The future is coming fast, and the Dolphins need to decide whether they are ready to embrace it fully or remain shackled by past decisions. Bold action now could define the franchise for a decade, and it's a choice they cannot afford to delay. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins this week? Breaking news from the ever-tumultuous world of the NFL has just sent shockwaves through the sports community. Tom Brady, the 7-time Super Bowl champion, the GOAT of quarterbacks, the man whose name has been synonymous with dominance, comebacks, and clutch performances, is reportedly coming out of retirement. But, and here's the kicker, it's not just any team, not just for another chase at a Lombardi trophy. No, sources whispering through the grapevine are saying Brady is lacing up his cleats once more to play alongside none other than Tua Tagovailoa in Miami. Yes, the Miami Dolphins, the team that has been rebuilding, reshaping, and waiting for the next wave of NFL glory, might just be getting an injection of adrenaline in the form of the ageless wonder himself. Imagine it, the calm, precise, ice-in-his-veins quarterback, joining forces with a younger star, bringing a mix of mentorship, rivalry, and sheer spectacle that could redefine the landscape of the league. The NFL is already buzzing, analysts are recalibrating, and fans are losing their minds. Social media platforms are alight with speculation, memes, and what-if threads that seem to multiply by the hour. Rumors began to circulate late last night when insiders hinted at clandestine meetings between Brady's representatives and Dolphins management. Sources close to the situation, who spoke on the condition of anonymity, suggest that these discussions were not just exploratory. They were serious, detailed, and surprisingly progressive for a move that seemed impossible just a few months ago. The whispers suggest that Brady's return would be structured in a way that maximizes both his impact and longevity, perhaps sharing snaps with Tua in key moments, mentoring him while still taking center stage in the league's most high-profile matchups. The idea of pairing Brady's experience with Tua's youthful arm talent and athleticism is causing strategists to rethink the Dolphins' offensive schemes, imagining dynamic plays that could potentially leave defenses scrambling in confusion. Analysts are speculating that the mere presence of Brady could alter draft strategies, free agency decisions, and even the psychology of the locker room. After all, having a living legend on the roster doesn't just inspire. It intimidates, motivates, and changes the internal dynamics of any squad. The narrative here is almost too cinematic to be real. A quarterback who has already accomplished nearly everything in football, walking away on his own terms, suddenly returning to mentor and challenge a rising star. It's like something out of a sports drama, but the NFL thrives on drama, and this story could be the pinnacle of it. Rumors suggest that this isn't about chasing records or chasing legacy. It's about crafting something new, something collaborative, something that could catapult both Brady and Tua into a different stratosphere. There's talk of a unique contract, incentives tied not just to victories, but to milestones and mentorship roles, suggesting that the Dolphins aren't just signing Brady for his arm. They're signing him for his influence, his locker room leadership, and the aura he brings to every huddle. This is a seismic shift in NFL strategy, blending the old guard with the new in a way that could become a blueprint for other franchises. Fans in Miami are reportedly ecstatic, lining up for merchandise even before an official announcement. Stadiums are buzzing with anticipation, ticket resale sites are exploding, and social media campaigns are already trending, with hashtags speculating everything from the starting lineup to the first touchdown combination between Brady and Tua. The ripple effect is global. International fans are watching closely, remembering Brady's Super Bowl heroics, and now imagining him throwing deep bombs in the Miami sun. Meanwhile, rival teams are scrambling, realizing that the Dolphins just might have a quarterback duo that could challenge the very top of the NFL hierarchy. Coaches are adjusting their playbooks. Defensive coordinators are calculating ways to contain two quarterbacks who could complement each other's strengths in ways never seen before. The strategy sessions in opposing team war rooms are reportedly tense, filled with hypothetical scenarios that involve rapid-fire decision-making and simulations that barely make sense but reflect the magnitude of this rumor. Inside sources even hint at personal motivations behind this move. Brady, it seems, isn't just chasing football glory, he's chasing connection. His relationship with Tua reportedly goes beyond the field, built on mutual respect and a shared vision for excellence. Tua's talent has always been evident, but pairing him with Brady could unlock a level of precision, decision-making, and confidence that elevates him to an elite status seemingly overnight. There's a sense that Brady is not just mentoring. He's creating a legacy intertwined with the rise of a new era quarterback, ensuring that the lessons, philosophies, and experiences that defined his career don't just vanish but instead evolve in a living, breathing successor. The rumor mill even suggests intimate training sessions, film study marathons, and strategy meetings where the two quarterbacks dissect defenses, share techniques, and craft plays that could become the hallmark of a revolutionary offense in Miami. Financial implications are also part of the chatter. Bringing in a player of Brady's stature, even in a limited capacity, could boost ticket sales, sponsorships, merchandise, and media rights for the Dolphins exponentially. Advertisers are reportedly already circling, preparing for campaigns that leverage the historic pairing. The business side of football, often overshadowed by the spectacle on the field, could see a transformative surge, with Miami positioning itself not just as a competitive team, but as a global brand infused with star power, charisma, and marketability. For the Dolphins, this isn't just about wins and losses. It's about re-establishing themselves in the national consciousness as a hub for innovation, excitement, and headline-making moves. Of course, skeptics exist. Many question whether Brady can still perform at the elite level, whether the dynamics between a seasoned veteran and a younger quarterback can sustain harmony, and whether the media frenzy might distract from actual gameplay. Yet, even critics can't ignore the narrative power of this rumor. It embodies the thrill of unpredictability, the allure of mixing youth with experience, and the possibility that football legends can continue shaping the game in ways that transcend traditional retirement boundaries. If this indeed happens, it will likely go down as one of the most audacious, talked-about moves in NFL history, a story that fans will debate for decades, dissect in documentaries, and celebrate in highlight reels. So, the NFL world holds its breath. Every whisper, every cryptic tweet, every reported meeting adds fuel to a fire that refuses to die down. Tom Brady coming out of retirement is already monumental. Tom Brady joining Tua in Miami? That is almost mythical, a storyline too perfect to ignore, a rumor too delicious to dismiss. Whether it materializes or not, the mere possibility has energized a league, captivated a fan base, and reminded everyone why sports, at their core, are as much about stories and legends as they are about wins and losses. The Dolphins may be on the brink of something historic, something unprecedented, and the football universe is watching, tweeting, speculating, and imagining every possible scenario. And in the middle of it all stands Tom Brady, the ageless, indefatigable, ever-enticing quarterback, perhaps ready to redefine what retirement even means in the modern NFL. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.